and in a much more effective way, convey our thoughts to the minds of others. There's some communication barriers that we do have. Talk about 3 or 4 of them. First thing is jargon. Industry jargon is that vernacular that we have a tendency to use over and over again within our office, which is fine because everyone understands what we're talking about. Things like PDS reports, the 2500 model, or as a realtor, MLS. But most of the people out in the public don't know what in the world we're talking about. So as a realtor, and I know there's another one over here at this table, we talk about the MLS. Well, what is the MLS? Well, the MLS is the multiple listing service. Still again, not everyone is going to understand what the multiple listing service is. It's a listing of all the homes that are for sale in the area. Years ago, it used to be this really thick book, and now it's on a website. We use it to help our buyer clients locate homes that are suitable for them. Now you understand what the multiple listing service, or the MLS, is. We need to be very careful about the amount of jargon or vernacular that we use with our customers. So many times we're into our own heads, if you will, and we want to give the good information, we want to hit them fast, we want to overcome the objectives, but we don't necessarily clarify exactly what we're talking about. And someone who's never purchased with us before, that has to be explained to them. Also, another potential barrier is syntax. Now, if I say the word or the term potato chips, what's the first thing that comes into your mind?
Lay's.
Lay's, Pringles, oh, in the can, or something in the bag. We tend to think of those sliced, fried chips of potatoes. And we can talk about potato chips, and everybody in this room knows what in the world we're talking about. But if you were in London and you said potato chips, they would be thinking French fry. Because what we call French fries, they call potato chips. So does anybody know what they call our potato chips in England?
Chips.
No, no, those are fries. Fish and chips. Crisps. Who got it right? Oh, very good, very good. Okay, potato crisps. So that's what they use. So again, we have to be careful of the words that we use, the vernacular within what we say. Another barrier, potential barrier, is body language. Body language. So, I'll illustrate a few. If you're in a meeting and someone is kind of steepling their fingers like this, what might that mean?
They're thinking.
They're thinking? Yes. And a lot of times when people are by themselves, they'll be sitting at their desk and they're just in deep thought. But it's what context of the overall communication is that gesture with. It may also be kind of an air of superiority, a feeling that they feel as though they are in control and kind of have you in their sights, if you will. But we can't make those snap judgments. It all has to be within the context of the overall communication. Now, if I fold my arms like this, traditionally, what does this mean?
I'm not receptive to what you're saying.
Not receptive to what you're saying? What? I'm closed off, maybe? I'm building a wall between you and I, or I already feel like there is a wall between you and I, or I'm protecting myself. Again, it goes to what is the overall context of the communication that we're sending. Sometimes people may just be cold. And this is how they kind of warm themselves a little bit. Just like sitting for our legs, this rests our arms because it helps our heart pump the blood through our veins. So this could be a very relaxed and natural position for someone, especially if they've been standing and talking to several people for a while. So we have to be mindful of those snap judgments. We have to be mindful of the body language, because if I'm talking to you individually, or if I just come up here and talk to you for 10 minutes, and I'm doing this the whole time, or I'm doing this the entire time, you're going to have a thought into your head as far as what I mean, despite the actual words that I'm using. So we have to be mindful of that. I'm going to pass these out. let every other person get one of these green sheets. Let me get one. Thank you. Every other person get one of these green sheets. If you'll pass that down. Because you're going to team up in teams of 2. Pardon?
Some are blank this time.
Oh, is that blank? Oops, my bad. No, the ones with the lines on them. Let me know if you... My bad. But we have enough. Yeah, we should have enough. Okay. So, another potential barrier to our communication that could mean in us not building that synergy with our loved ones or not making the sale is our filters that we use in our communication. In other words, the senses. So we have 5 main senses. Go back to physical science in junior high. You have 5 main senses. What were they? Visual, auditory, olfactory, gustatory, and touch. People will lead with one of those 5 senses. There are some people who describe their surroundings, their environment, their world in terms of olfactory and gustatory. But that's a real minority. The majority of people lead with either visual, auditory, or what we call kinesthetic, which is a touch of feeling or even emotional feeling. This is what's called NLP. There's those initials again that we have to be careful of. Well, by NLP, what I mean is neurolinguistics programming. Now we're all on the same page, right? No. Let me give you a little bit more detail. This is a study that goes back probably about 40 years, and neurolinguistics programming is the study of neuro, how our brain works, linguistics, the language that we use, and programming. When you first hear about neurolinguistics programming, it may sound like we're attempting to brainwash somebody or program them. No, not at all. You see, we've already programmed ourselves without even knowing it. And our programming describes our world as we conceive it. It describes our environment. How do you describe your environment, your life, your world to others? Is what you're saying landing on the minds of others? Or is it not? Because we're using a different filter. So, I'm very visual. Of the big 3, visual, auditory, and kinesthetic, I'm very visual. So if I meet someone for the first time, I may very well say, hey, and they ask me how I'm doing, I may very well say, hey, things are looking up. Things are pretty rosy. Things look great today. It's a sunshiny day. I'm going to use those visual terms to describe my experience. My mother is very auditory. She'll use a different set of language. If I were to ask her, Mom, what's your opinion on something? She may say, well, that sounds pretty good. Mom, do you remember way back when this occurred? You know, Blaine, that seems to ring a bell. So, of the big 3, kinesthetic, auditory, or visual, which one is my mom? Auditory, because she's using sounding words. What type of words do you use? And you may not even be cognizant of it yourself. So here's what we're going to do. Every other person got a little green sheet, and I think we had enough to go around, I believe. Good. So, either one of you, it doesn't matter, is going to take the little workshop, the little worksheet. We're going to take just about a minute, maybe a minute and a half to do this. And you're going to listen to the conversation that the sender, you'll have a communicator, and the person with the little sheet is the listener. So listeners, you're going to write down for some of those cues in terms of what the sender or speaker communicates to you. Here's what you're going to describe. Your latest, most recent concert event or party or sporting event that you went to. Your most recent concert, party, or sporting event, some sort of fun activity that you went to. you're going to start with where you were before. Were you at the office and you left directly to the venue, or were you at home? What was it like? Don't overthink it, but do you use your adjectives? How did you actually get to the venue? If it were a concert, who did you see, hear? What did you experience? What hit you when you first arrived at the venue? And you're going to relate those terms. And then what happened afterwards on your way back home? So we're going to take just about a minute. Speakers, you're going to describe your latest sporting event that you went to, or concert, or party. We'll take about 1 minute. And listener, you just listen to them and you write down some key words that they use. All right? Go ahead. Take about a minute.
Big crowd.
We'll just take about another 10-15 seconds to finish up. Okay. Well, it doesn't sound like y'all had any problems coming up with your topic, your discussion, or explaining the event. All right. So we'll get back into the meat and potatoes of this. I always hate to interrupt when people are in good conversation, but this is, oh, thank you. You're awesome. Okay. That must have been a Toastmaster. Who did that? Okay. So, all right, mental flexibility. So, your challenge was you had a speaker and a receiver. And did anyone here who had the green sheet, were the receiver, were you able to get a clear-cut vision? See, I'm visual. In terms of what that person was in terms of kinesthetic, audio-based, or visual, in terms of their filter for describing the world. Anybody was able to get a clear cut on that? May I ask what was who was your partner and okay? What were some of the key terms that you were able to get from that?
It was very very kinesthetic.
Okay.
She went along with her feelings, like she said it was lively, fun. Some parts of it was boring.
Okay, wonderful, exactly. So we may get, and this is just a 1 minute conversation, but yeah, again, I may very clearly say, well, she kind of describes her world through kinesthetics, or her feelings, or her emotions. Who else had a clear cut?
Same.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead, sir.
He was kinesthetic too.
Okay, what were some of the words that you heard?
Comfortable. He went to the Live on the Green. Talked about how comfortable it was, what a nice night it was.
Okay.
What a good time he had. Soulful, old school, new artist.
Okay.
He painted a real nice picture. He and his wife enjoying time in the outdoors at an outdoor concert. So
Okay. And the lady over here, you raised your hand now. So I'm looking at you. who was your partner?
She was my partner.
Okay. What kind of keywords did you pick up?
Feeling, heat.
Okay.
Warm.
So everybody in the room is kinesthetic. Were there any visuals? Yes, Patrick.
No, I had an auditory or so.
Pardon?
Auditory.
Auditory? What kind of keywords did you pick up?
Loud, chaotic.
Okay.
From peaceful to loud to chaotic.
Wow, that was a horrible event. Okay.
I guess the softball tournament.
Oh, softball tournament. Well, that explains it. Okay, very good, very good, very good. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to use some of those words and those others to take about 1 minute, and you're going to describe something. It's an object I will show you here in a little bit. You're going to describe it using their filter. So if you have the green sheet, now you are going to be the speaker and your partner will be the receiver. You're going to speak in terms of his or her words, okay? So kinesthetics, you're going to use some of their same type of words. If someone were visual, you would say looks like, describes things in very visual terms. Here's what you're going to do. We're going to take just 1 short minute. You're going to describe this to them. If they had never seen this particular object before, and I'll turn it on, how would you describe this object to them? 1 minute. Go ahead. About a minute, we're going to go ahead and wrap up. So, what are some of the words that you could use to describe this to someone? Obviously, it's a song. But if someone were visual, how would you describe this? Maybe small, purple, obviously, that's my favorite color. If someone were auditory, how would you describe this? Yes, Patrick.
Let me use your personality more for a second. I can put a device into your hands that would put you in communication with everyone you care about, all the events in the world.
I love that. I love that. Okay, did y'all hear that? He opened up, he's talking to an auditory, and he opened with, let me use you as a sounding board. He's speaking his language. All right, kinesthetics, how would you describe this? This helps you stay close to your loved ones.
Very comfortable.
Comfortable to hold. Very good. Feel connected. So, consider the vernacular that we use, our body gestures, and the context in which we speak, and the filters that we use. I've got just a couple of flyers over here about my seminar. If you want to come to it, it's free, but I'm limited on space and workbooks. Let me know. Thank you all very much.